It is now so difficult to prosecute an argument, and so few people in public life are prepared to actually try and prosecute an argument.
Yeah, because we've signed up to a faith, John, and that's what I think that's happened with the entire environmental movement, right? So essentially, over the course of the last couple of 100 years, Western societies have ditched a widespread belief in God, a widespread belief in faith. But there is a God-shaped hole inside of everybody, and you try to fill it. And you try to fill it, most people try to fill it with something good. So I understand why people really want to care for the environment. I would want to care for the environment as well. I've been in really poor countries. I lived in India. I can tell you this. Poor countries do not look after the environment. People scrabble to make a living, and they'll do whatever they can to do that. And it's in those poorest countries that you'll see most of the rubbish. And it's in those poorest countries where you'll see most of the damage to the environment. And by the way, all of sub-Saharan Africa would like to get rich like us one day, and they want to stop burning dung by way of fuel. So there's a whole, continent there that's going to, at some stage, begin to progress. I hope they do, but they're going to want to burn fossil fuel to get there, John. So one of the things that gets me about all of this is we are not debating logic. We are debating a faith. And our ruling class, our elites, have essentially signed up to this faith. The media class, absolutely across a large proportion of it, has signed up to this. There's been, when you talk about making these arguments, why is it so hard? Because you can't get a lot of journalists to ask the kinds of questions that need to be asked about the people who are making these policy decisions, because they've signed up to the faith as well. So it is a very difficult argument to make, but I intend to keep making it. And I understand, I believe, and I genuinely mean this, that one day this will be decided by physics. If the lights go out, if the cost rises too much, then people will start to pay attention to what's going on. And then we need to be there to tell them, well, what's changed? Because I'll tell you what's going to happen on the east coast of Australia on our national electricity market. Now, we are running our last coal-fired power plants about as hard as we can. And despite what the government says, it's trying to keep them alive for as long as it can, because that's what's keeping our system alive. One day, when the sun's not shining, the wind's not blowing, and probably in the middle of winter when it's really quite cold, one of those big coal-fired plants is going to give out. It'll break because of the stress that it's under. And then we'll see our energy ministers come rushing out and say, see, we told you, unreliable old power broke down. They won't say, by the way, that wind and solar was resting on its shovels doing nothing at that time. It'll all be the fault of that last bit of dispatchable power. Now, this is the thing I would say to the coalition. They have to be ready when that happens with an argument they've started making now that explains to people why that would be the case and where the real fault lies. Otherwise, once again, they're going to get cornered in an energy argument as they did in the last election.